This is definitely Stephen Chow's most underrated movie since the 1990s. The appearance of Stephen Chow, lonely Hong Kong comedy, has been pushed to a void higher than glorious. From Gambling Saints at the beginning to Kung Fu Facing the World, power of Stephen Chow's comedy is almost a household name. However, among the many better and sold opiates, there was a movie at the bottom of the box office. It's called A Bad Night, but now let's look again and find. This is a time when Crossing You was at his peak. Self-breakthrough, success will spoof, black humor and horror, the perfect combination of Mahayana. The movie starts very carefully. A creepy altar, next to it is a weird paper prick. Then there are tributes to the dead, under the influence of BGM. Let the horror atmosphere of the movie reach its peak. Story of the movie takes place in a building. This building was photographed in Vowed Village, Juno, Hong Kong. Harmony House in the 1990s. Back then, the end of Vowed Village just lended out for filming. The director has a broken and gloomy feeling. Make trendy ghost movies instead. New design. House is empty. There's another weirdness. Next shot. A rebellious teenage girl is watching TV and dancing in bed. It's about Wong Kar-wai's Chongqing Forest. Parents of the girl like to gamble. This also led to the girl Akun. Main reasons for rebellion. Akun has recently lost his love. As a result, he often throws things down. Security guards downstairs are huddled. Pick it up with your body. The actors of these four security guards. He is also familiar in Shinju's movies. So the one on the left is Ruhua Lee Jianren. He was originally a classmate of Stephen Chow. Because I like to perform work, I have always been doing behind-the-scenes work with Stephen Chow. Until 1992, we joined Yuan Suchin, and Lee Jianren dressed as a woman like a flower. Now the flower, who picks his nose and smiles slightly. It's a classic. After that, in many Star-Lord movies, you can see Lee Jianren's figure became the comic duty in the movie. Next on the right is Huang Jixian. He's a smart talker for TVB. I was a police officer for 3 years. Works include The Legend of the Condor Hero, Integrity Action 1996, King Song Chi-ji Second Class. Then he moved to Asian TV cards. Hot drama Thunder Sweeps Drugs and Sneaks. You can also see him in The Sniper. Below is The Week, the director of Chinking movies. He is also known as the best acting director. Domestic 007 inmates with iron legs float on water. Agent Dane 08. The Imperial teachers in Lee are all impressive. Last one is that we are very familiar Huang Yifei. In Stephen Chow's movie, we can all see it. Domestic 007 right inmate executed by shooting. Chen Jixian in Jupinji Maguan. Most classic is still The Corner of the Eldest Brother. He relies on this role. Onto Best Supporting Actor awards. We move on to social cinema. The security captain thought the four were slacking off. Akun started throwing things at this time. The dropped suitcase just hit the captain. Yu Join Yuan. The house mouse played by the Liang family came over. He turned down the security chief's request for more manpower. On the other side, a woman is giving. The deceased mother-in-law burns incense. Today is my mother-in-law's recovery night. On the surface, women look very filial, but the neighbors told the truth. The woman asked Mrs. Lee to go shopping in the middle of the night. Fell to his death on the back stairs and no one knows. Woman asks mother-in-law to be magnanimous, don't blame them. But ghosts are vengeful. Soon the couple's son was gone. They found the head of security and asked him to help. The captain came to their room. With the sound of BGM, Mr. Lee discovered something terrible. Liang, turn it over. The chicken leg on the altar is gone. Mr. Lee remembers before his death. Mother likes to eat chicken thighs the most. Captain was also scared. I'm going to pour a glass of water next to it. I didn't expect to see a more terrifying scene. No exception is the cover. The couple came to take a look. It was their son. What a false alarm. But is it really that simple? Ating ran to the window and shouted, I want to forget my ex-boyfriend. I hope God will give me a new beginning. Akun looked for the direction of the sound. A man in black in the hallway poured a glass of milk. It's like talking to Mrs. Lee's ghost. Akun is full of curiosity about this man in black. Followed the past. What mission is the man in black going to complete? Holding a potted flower, holding a leather gun in his hand. Back is very handsome. But Akun decided. So it's pretty obvious here. Killer dressed up so far as not to cold Leon. Leon also likes to drink milk. The character played by Stephen Chow in the movie is called Lee. Ahn Jong-fu thinks it's too weird here. I'm going to take my wife and son outside for a night. However, once home, and found their son gone again. Husband goes out to find. Let the wife stay at home. Fear ahead. Pension everyone. The lights at home suddenly went out. Only the red light of the altar remains. Very scary. The wife went over to check. I pulled the switch a few times to no avail. Clatter of the clock made his wife even more panicked. Husband calls wife. Ask your son if he is back. After hanging up the phone, Mrs. Lee. The chair I used to sit on creaked. Wife wants to escape from the room. Suddenly the TV turned on. His son's voice rang out. Wife went over to take a look. I actually saw my back on TV. He turned his head slowly. It turns out that the camera is turned on. He walks over and turns off the camera. The back image on TV has not disappeared. The TV slowly moved towards him. Wife pushes the table towards the TV, open the door. Outside the door is a son possessed by a ghost, with a knife to kill him. Critical moment. The man in black appears. Scare away ghosts with loudspeakers. This is the scariest scene in the movie. It can be said to be the ceiling level of Chinese horror movies, whether it's sound effects or lighting. Horrifying and bizarre effects. It's creepy. Let's continue talking about the movie. The man in black chased after him and subdued the ghost. It's wrong to teach him to scare people. Ask him to call and apologize. Who is not afraid when you talk like this? The man asked him to speak well. The ghost said it was already polite. I was killed by them before I died. Come back today for revenge. The man wants to pull him aside and say, but stepped on a high voltage line and caused a vision. Akon has a panoramic view of this scene. He treats men as masters. After the man drove away the ghosts, I asked the security captain for some money. Leaving here was considered a lunatic. More than 70 years. Man's name is Liangi, not some ghost hunter. It's a psychopath who sneaks away from a mental hospital. But Akon thinks he is a master living in a mental hospital. In the evening, he came to Sogo Mental Hospital. Dress up here. Obviously, it's a tribute to the killers, not to Cold Matilda. There are really many experts in the mental hospital. They were discussing Van Gogh, Einstein. Li Ying had already guessed that Ajun bumped him. Emerged from the corner and hugged him. Ajun asked him why he was imprisoned in a mental hospital. Leon said it was because he was not afraid of anything. So a lot of people thought I was crazy. What Leon said next was shattered. 3 views of groups. He saw flying saucers when he was very young. At the age of 4, I saw the legendary Loch Ness water. He has seen the most terrifying and deformed things. Nothing can scare him. This is actually the heart of the movie. In fact, what Stephen Chow wants to tell you. Power of youth. Treat the flying saucers in the playground as real flying saucers. Think of the dinosaur statue as the moving Loch Ness monster. It's all because he has a strong imagination. So why can't you imagine Sun Wukong falling in love? I can't imagine Stephen Chow filming a tragedy. In 1995, Stephen Chow and Liu Jianwei co-directing the comedy and romance film Journey to the West. After becoming independent as Stephen Chow, the first film produced, The Westward Journey not only poured into him and Liu Jianwei. Lots of effort and anticipation. He gambled on his money. However, the movie is too advanced. You can't accept such Monkey King and Tong Seng. The box office took a nosedive after the release. A slump. The investment lost to Golden Light. Stephen Chow? I had to dissolve the newly established Color Star Company. So the director here just wants to borrow the amount. Complaining Hong Kong moviegoers have no imagination. Let's move on to the movie. Leon said to Akon, "Your building is really haunted. That pot of flowers told me. I'll go over and deal with him tonight." This side of the building, the housing department sent to Hokkien to the captain. But these two people don't understand Mandarin. Listen to go to work is get off work. When the captain gets on the elevator, he was going to the 3rd floor. The elevator automatically took him to the 9th floor. It's the floor where Mrs. Lee died. He is afraid of meeting ghosts. However, what are you afraid of? The captain said shakily, how are you going to help him? One who comes is the undead god of war to eternal light. Taoist in Cantonese means, when drug users meet each other. So, Tomoki will be so miserable in the later plot. Then the real old lady Lee crawled over. Let the captain help him. The captain thought someone was lying to him, kicked him in the head and got kicked away. Mrs. Lee focuses on the captain. Said he was killed by his son and daughter-in-law. Mrs. Lee asked the captain to take her head back. Tell him slowly. Captain is a good man. To help Mrs. Lee call the police to the abyss. However, Mr. Lee suddenly appeared and wanted to kill him. The captain quickly ran away with his head in his arms. Mrs. Lee's body also followed. The brave wife ran away with someone. I'm drunk every day. Akong made an appointment for him to comfort him. The 2 of them just stole a bag of money. How did you get in? Mrs. Lee's body came over and took the bag away. Iron Gall just saw it. It must not come up for me. He mistook, treat Mrs. Lee as the horse Akong found from. After jumping, the movement started. After reading this, I really admire Liu Jianwei. One laugh after another. Very smooth. The captain ran to the basement. Name of the newspaper friend who was seriously injured in the elevator. Teacher Leon, I got rained by Ray on this day. Wow, it's so far away. As a result, in the next second, the captain used Dayoung Mingbang to enter the shield. The couple pinched the captain back and forth. Let 2 people jump off a tall building. The 2 are in a state of collapse. He also explained the process of the old lady Shari. At this time, Li Angi arrived with Ajun. Mr. Lee was too afraid to fall down the stairs. The wife saw her husband killed. He was dressed in red to die with his husband. He's going to become a ghost. Kill everyone on the night of return. The horse is here. The horse is in a hurry. How much money do you talk first? Li Engi can't let him die like this. To go and save people. After the violence of adoption, Mrs. Li came to life. Apologize, King Kong. Leo can still be saved. First, give him a blood transfusion. You need to answer. Why don't you talk about it earlier? Do you have any medical knowledge? Use the motor again. Mrs. Li is alive again. Mrs. Li is going to commit suicide. To prevent each other from committing suicide, Li Engi gave a headshot with a knife. I'm really dead now. I can't die anymore. Soul will definitely be killed at night. To save everyone, Li Engi launched a group training for them. Who dares to kiss him? As an iron egg who dares to be a Japanese ghost, what is there to be afraid of? Take the lead, but still defeated by the beauty of flowers. He wanted to start with something a little easier. Rao took an awesome lump out of the box. Some people question why it's awesome. Such a disgusting thing. You say so? Because you consider yourself highly educated. In and out of what high society? You are self-righteous. Feeling awesome is boredom and misunderstanding. As your relatives told you when you were a child, ghosts are scary reasons. It's to get them to break away from worldly ideas. Lily Chi was convinced by Leo, touched in the past. And then brings out the firecracker again. Crossing you really likes to add firecrackers to movies. This original policy. In addition to here, there is also Kung Fu. It's all funny jokes in the movie. Firecrackers don't explode until long after they're lit. But let someone hold it. Even the most courageous person must be afraid. But Liu is not afraid. After recovery, Li Engi explained to everyone, just picked up the wrong quick detonating electro-optical cannon. But I didn't shed a single tear. Are you brave enough? Continue now. This time Leo put it directly in his mouth. Fortunately, it just blew out a row of teeth. Liang is afraid that he will not be able to teach everyone with himself in hand. So the training escalates. Russian Gall practice. After lighting the lead, pass it on one by one and forget it. Now everyone sit down. It starts to be passed into the measuring hand in turn. He deliberately didn't pass it on, waiting for the lead to burn coal. Connected. Explain the meaning of ghosts to everyone in a scientific way. The righteous ghost is actually a kind of energy. He exists day and night. Face death's revenge in this world. Ghost energy will be very large, so it can affect our retinal nerve. Let's hallucinate. No matter how much energy, can affect our brain cells. Heal motor nerve. It's called the upper body. Leon also said there was one next to him. The captain doesn't want to be provoked anymore. Let Leon quickly teach him to catch ghosts. Big flowers come out. Because the plastic wrap contains a nitric oxide tumor and enclose the energy molecules of ghosts. Chocolate is expensive with milk. He is most afraid of cows. Under the influence of Lin Zhengying's Ling fantasy film, catching ghosts relies on a mahogany sword. Liu Jianwei wants to break through the worldly concept. Why can the mahogany sword catch ghosts? Plastic wrap doesn't work. I have scientific evidence. He wanted to free the audience from the constraints of the world. Don't rest on your laurels. A little more imagination. Let's go back to the movie. The captain can't stand Li Engi anymore. Serious nonsense. Vomited blood. Li Engi thought the captain had reacted. Just take out a bottle of cow tears. Just rub it on the cover. You can see the so-called wandering ghosts. Everyone didn't see the so-called ghost after wiping it on. They no longer believed that Li Bite was going to beat him up. Li Yan suddenly pointed at a woman in red by the roadside. Said he was a ghost. Catch up. I didn't ask you to give me high. He edged stopped Kun and asked him to pay. He found the old man sitting on top of his wallet. When I try to push the other party away, I find that the other party is a ghost. You haven't even seen this disease. It seems that what Liao said is true. Kun was scared. Call one. Lin Zhu, who flashed by, told him not to yell. The other side. After everyone chased after them, they realized that the other party was human, but they were shameless enough to check their heartbeats. And you could lead it. To hack him, Liu is standing on the high shelf, holding a helmet. He said he invented this flying machine. Captain advised him not to do it. Li Yang asked the captain to fly out with the aircraft. Captain doesn't care about him anymore. To cut him with the crowd. Li Engi is not afraid. Say you have divine power to protect your body. Invulnerability. Let them cut themselves. No one dares. Only a Kun who has seen ghosts. Firmly believe in Liang's words. He stabbed without hesitation. As a result, Leo steadied abroad and fell to the ground. Taken away by ambulance. Mrs. Li's return night is here. People think of Li Engi as a lunatic. Didn't take his words seriously. And what was terrifying was that it happened one by one. A Fujian man was checking the elevator. The elevator suddenly malfunctioned. Cut to death by fan. When she's in the microwave in the security room. Suddenly all the doors and windows closed. Entire room was turned into a microwave oven. Kong was vaporized alive and died. Kong came to the captain for something. Also entered the room. Critical moment. He appeared with a flower pot. He quickly unplugged the latch. The room is back to normal. Everything just now was an illusion, but Kang was still scared to death. Leo explained to everyone. He was completely fine that day. Quan just cut off his appendix. Ghost will appear at 12 o'clock. They have to be ready. Li Lichi doesn't believe anything. Going home to take a shower. As a result, I just went out and came back. He saw the Li couple outside. The captain is too nervous to go to the toilet. And there was a hand sticking out of the toilet. Leon says these are hallucinations. Captain through perseverance. The illusion of overcoming. Leon dances with Akun to relax his mood. Jumping. He stabbed Akun with an axe. He had long been aware that Akun was possessed by a ghost. Mrs. Lee ran out after being exposed. There's a ghost attached to the captain. He grabbed Leon by the neck. Leon played dead and fled. They met Akun with an axe. They don't even know if it's a ghost. Leon told him you were possessed by a ghost just now. It's because you haven't been firm. That's why I let that ghost program in. He told Akun not to move. Li and Yi took the opportunity to take the axe away. As a result, the other party still stabbed. Li and Yi is ready. Clip out the board and clip into the other party's hand. Li Angyang electric guitar. Drive the ghost out of Akun's body. He told everyone to chase. Captain is also back to normal at this time. People don't know how to chase and intercept him. Ruhu's dress vomited all the irons. Li and Yi covered the sky with a plastic bag. It with a slingshot. Successfully captured Mrs. Li's ghost. Everyone caught the captain. Let Leon identify the authenticity. But ignored the Fujian man. Mr. Li picked up the chainsaw and started hunting them down. Li Lichi died at his hands first. Captain followed. The unlucky Taoist friend Ming just passed by. Bad luck. Lin and Yi brought the remaining people to the rooftop. Mr. Li is in hot pursuit. They had to climb up to the top. But it still won't last long. Li and Yi came with an instrument to send everyone away. He wants to stay and deal with Mr. Li. Interrupted by fleeing the sea again. Everyone quickly pulled Li and Yi up. Just when they came after him again. Li and Yi eats the banana calmly. Smooth the opponent with a banana peel. The viaduct is collapsing. Mr. Li killed again. They desperately bit the high shelf. He crushed Mr. Li. But the elevated road is crumbling. Li Yang made a hat out of newspapers and flew everyone away. Mr. Li pounced and hugged Li Yang. As a result, Li Yang hit a bomb in his leg. Mr. Li is really doomed this time. But what I didn't expect was, he was attached to Li and Yi before he died. Li and Yi is determined. He restrained Mr. Li's brief period of sanity. He let Akun kill himself. Li and Yi wants to die with Mr. Li. Akun couldn't bear to start. But this was Li's idea. He slashed at the other party mercilessly. The end of the movie. Iron Gal and Ruhua were sent to a mental hospital. Akun is with Leah here. After the appearance of Black Soul Leah and Gi, Akun revealed a bright smile. In 1995, Stephen Chow. Devote yourself wholeheartedly to the production of The Westward Journey. The film was known to his old friend Liu Zhenwei. The two are also full of anticipation for this movie. However, after the release of Journey to the West, Moonlight Treasure Box, Stephen Chow was not welcomed by the public eye. It was met with skepticism and criticism. This year, it was a painful year for Stephen Chow. Box office failure. It led to the closure of Stephen Chow's newly established film company. He lost confidence himself. A few months later, Liu Zhenwei found Zhou Xinqi again, hoping to collaborate on a film and break the doubt. It can fight back against those who are ignorant. This movie is part of Stephen Chow's career. He always underestimated work's return to the wedding reception. Hearing the name At Night is a horror movie, and Liu Zhenwei came from horror movies. He wants to be himself, helping Stephen Chow in the most skilled field. Result: return to the night box office 16 million. Bottom of the box office in Stephen Chow's movie. I think there are 3 reasons for the low box office. That time, some people said that the movie copied The Killer and it was not too cold. There are indeed some in the movie that are not too cold for The Killer element, including bright costumes and Akun's dressing style, plagiarism and borrowing. The fastest way to identify: just remove similar elements. Is it okay to watch a movie? After removing it, we found that it doesn't affect the plot of the movie at all. Don't look at this killer now, it's not too cold and so hot. In fact, the killer is not too cold. Back then, he talked a lot about his westward journey. Suffered the same tragedy. 20 million budget. Only $19 million at the box office. Stephen Chow likes this movie very much. A similar element was added to this film. Obviously a tribute. The second point is that the punchline is different. I want to watch Stephen Chow movies. Definitely want to see a comedy. There are indeed many jokes in The Night of Return. But here, and before, Stephen Chow's 5-point style is completely different. The movie is filled with a large number of black humor with mockery and sarcasm. Scope of the film at the beginning is extremely depressing. Don't make a lot of people feel old-fashioned. Rough Hong Kong ghost film. Dusky corridor. flickering yellow light, cold blue-gray moonlight outside the building. The appearance of these elements is essential for the old audience who are used to all things comedy. Very uncomfortable, such an environment. It was deliberately created by director Liu Jianwei. Purpose is to satirize the society at that time, suppressing the atmosphere of occlusion. There is much more to the film that makes people feel very inexplicable shot. For example, the place where Mrs. Li was rescued was saved several times. Finally, he was killed by Leon. The way to save people is still very strange. There's a lot more to come, while making people laugh and chills behind his back from sudden fear. The irony of dark humor is profound. This is said in Stephen Chow's previous movies. Very rare. A lot of my earlier work was completely nonsensical. Also temporarily slows down the pace. Make the audience laugh for a while to get used to it. And the brilliance of Soul Knight is here. He doesn't care what you think. After clever black humor, instantly hooked up to breathless horror. This style is indeed too advanced. The Hong Kong audience at that time could not accept it. Movies in the form of horror films. It tells the story of a true ghost hunter. A story that was not recognized by everyone as a neurosis. The film greatly complained to the Hong Kong audience at that time. Those who criticize movies are bad movies. Incomprehensible audience just don't want to believe there is such a way to exorcise ghosts. The mentally ill can also be masters of infidelity. Their views have solidified, lost imagination and curiosity about the world. As long as a person is bound by his own thoughts, then he will never be biased, views and narrow circles. In the new era of rapid development, every day, countless new things are not born. A lot of things I couldn't even imagine in the past. It just happened overnight. Night of the Soul is definitely not a bad movie. Instead, it is a masterpiece with cross-generational significance. Although Li Young is regarded as a lunatic, but still adhere to their own worldview. This is also what Liu Jianwei wants to tell the audience. We are questioned and misunderstood in life. You still have to stick to your ideas. What other people say is not necessarily true. Stars as expected, although others laugh at him, criticize him and curse him, but he can still go his own way. Shoot what you like. Just like after the big story Journey to the West. Despite being misunderstood, treated as a psychopath, he still chose to persist. So, do you think this movie is in Stephen Chow's work? Where can you rank? Welcome to the comment area and join us. That's all for today's movie introduction. Name Temple. See you tomorrow, we'll see you soon.